Daniel stepped closer. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Because you've been trapped for too long. Because no one ever cared enough to give you a choice. Because I don't need power. I don't need riches. I just need to know that when I walk away, you are no longer a prisoner. The genie's vision blurred. She realized, to her shock, that tears of light were falling down her glowing cheeks. She had not wept in centuries. Her voice broke. You would set me free, when you could have had everything. Daniel nodded. Yes, because freedom is worth more than everything, and because it's what you deserve. Her heart burned. She wanted to speak, to argue, but she could not. No words would come. The ancient law stirred inside her. His wish was clear. The curse that had chained her for centuries began to crack. She felt it, a weight, heavy as mountains, pressing against her chest. No, she whispered, her voice trembling. This cannot be. It cannot. But the chains of light appeared around her body, visible, glowing, ancient. And before her eyes, they began to break. One by one, the chains shattered into sparks, rising into the starry sky. The lamp that had bound her for centuries glowed brightly, then cracked apart with a sound like thunder, vanishing into dust. The genie cried out, her body glowing brighter and brighter, the power of her curse dissolving. She fell to her knees in the snow, her aura flickering. Unstable, Daniel rushed forward, catching her before she could collapse. She looked up at him, her golden eyes wide with disbelief. I'm free, she whispered. Daniel nodded softly. Yes, you're free. Her breath came in shaking gasps. For the first time in thousands of years, she felt the cold of the snow, the bite of the wind, the weight of her own heartbeat. She was no longer eternal, no longer cursed. She was real again. She looked at Daniel, tears streaming down her glowing face. Why would you do this for me? He smiled faintly. Because humans aren't what you think we are. We're not all greedy. We're not all selfish. Sometimes we just want to do the right thing. Her chest ached. No king, no warrior, no ruler had ever given her this. But this one man, this ordinary mortal, had broken her curse with nothing more than compassion. For centuries, she had believed humans were weak. But now, she realized the truth. Humans were strong not because of power or greed. They were strong because of their hearts. The last chain of light broke with a flash. The mountains shook, the stars seemed to sing, and the genie let out a cry of both pain and joy as the curse that had bound her for eternity shattered completely. Silence followed. She stood slowly, her body still glowing faintly, but weaker now, softer, more human. She touched her chest, feeling the steady beat of her heart. It was real. For the first time in ages, it was real. Tears filled her eyes again as she whispered, "Thank you, Daniel." Daniel smiled. "No need to thank me. Just live free." The genie stared at him for a long moment. Her lips curved into the first true smile she had given in thousands of years. And in that smile, Daniel knew he had made the right choice. The night hung heavy with silence. The broken lamp lay in the snow, glowing faintly like a dying star. Daniel stood with steady breath, his boots frozen to the ground, his heart pounding in his chest. He had used 2 wishes already, one for truth, one for vision. Now, only one remained. The genie floated in front of him, her golden eyes sharp and unblinking. She expected the same thing she had always heard, the greedy final wish. Mortals always save the most selfish request for last. Her voice was low, almost like a warning. This is your last chance, human. Choose wisely. Wish for power, and it is yours. Wish for eternal life, and it is yours. Wish for kingdoms, and you will rule. Speak." Daniel did not answer right away. He looked at her, really looked not as a genie, but as someone who had once been human. Someone cursed, someone broken. Finally, he spoke. His words were calm, yet filled with weight. "My final wish is that you be free." The genie stiffened. The air grew cold. The mountains themselves seemed to tremble. She shook her head quickly, as though she hadn't heard him right. "No, no, you cannot mean that." Daniel's gaze did not waver. "I mean it. I wish that you no longer serve anyone. I wish that your chains be broken forever." Her golden aura flickered. She stepped back, her eyes wide. "You fool," she whispered. "Do you understand what you are throwing away? Do you understand what you are giving up?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, and I don't regret it." The genie's chest rose and fell in quick breaths. Never had a mortal spoken such words. Never had anyone used their final wish for her. She wanted to be angry. She wanted to believe it was a trick. But his face, it was calm, honest, unshaken. "Why?" she demanded. "Why would you give me freedom when you could have had everything?" Daniel's answer was simple. "Because everything means nothing if it costs someone else their life. You've been a prisoner long enough. You deserve to live." Her lips trembled. Her glowing eyes softened, though tears of light welled at their edges. For centuries, she had granted countless wishes, but this one was different. It wasn't a wish for power, it was a gift, and by law, she could not refuse. The ancient magic stirred. The snow lifted into the air, swirling around them in a storm of gold. The lamp cracked, its surface splitting with light. Chains of fire wrapped around the genie's body, glowing bright as stars. She gasped as the chains pulled tight, then shattered one by one, exploding into sparks that vanished into the night sky. Each breaking chain shook her to the core. "No," she whispered, though her voice trembled not with fear, but with disbelief. Daniel stood his ground, watching. The genie cried out as the last chain shattered, releasing a burst of golden fire that lit the mountains like dawn. The lamp let out. A final sharp crack before dissolving into dust. Silence returned. The genie fell to her knees in the snow, her golden aura flickering like a candle. For the first time in thousands of years, she felt the weight of her own body. She felt the sting of the cold wind. She felt her heart beating not with magic, but with life. Her voice was barely a whisper. I am free." Daniel stepped closer, his voice steady. "Yes, you're free." Her hands trembled as she touched the snow. She could feel it. Really feel it. The bite of the cold, the roughness of the ice. For so long, she had lived outside the world immortal, untouchable. Now she was part of it again. Tears streamed down her glowing cheeks. She looked at Daniel, her lips shaking. "No one? Number one has ever wished this for me." Daniel smiled faintly. "Then maybe it was time someone did." Her chest ached with emotions she had buried for centuries. Anger, sorrow, hope, joy all rising at once. She wanted to speak, but no words were strong enough. The stars above seemed to shine brighter. The world felt alive again. And deep inside, she realized something she had never admitted before. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps, in their own way, they were stronger than gods. The genie stood slowly, her glow softer now, less like fire and more like the warmth of dawn. She was no longer eternal. She was no longer cursed. She was something greater human again. She whispered, her voice breaking, "Thank you, Daniel." Daniel gave a small nod. "No need to thank me. Just live free. That's all the payment I need." Her lips curved into a true smile, something she hadn't felt in centuries. And in that moment, she understood. His final wish had not only freed her, had proven the power of humanity itself. End of Part 6. The final wish word count. Approximately 810 third person. Simple English, more unique phrasing compared to previous Part 6 emotional climax. HFY message. Humans value freedom, compassion, and choice above power, ends with the genie transformed. Ready for Part 7? Do you want me to now finish this journey with Part 7, the resolution, approximately equals 800 words, where we close the story with a strong HFY style message. You said, with Part 7 more unique, 800 words start, ChatGPT said. Excellent. Now let's complete the story with Part 7, the resolution, the final chapter. This part will be about 800 words, written in third-person style, simple English, and deliver a powerful HFY message with a sense of closure, but also lingering. Mystery? The snowstorm around them calmed. The mountains grew silent again, as though they too were listening. The genie stood tall, her golden eyes glowing faintly, but inside, her thoughts were in chaos. For centuries, she had granted wishes to selfish men and greedy rulers. They had demanded kingdoms, armies, endless treasures. She had seen humans destroy each other with the very gifts she gave them. She had learned to hate mortals, weak, greedy, predictable. But this man, Daniel, was different. His first wish was not for gold, not for power, not even for immortality. He had wished for truth. Truth about her. Truth about the one thing she had buried deep in her soul for thousands of years. The genie folded her arms and studied him carefully. His eyes did not carry the hunger she had seen so many times before. Instead, they carried something else. Something she could not understand. Respect. That was new. That was dangerous. Inside her, two voices fought. One told her to laugh at him, to remind him she was beyond his pity. The other whispered that maybe, just maybe, this human was not like the others. Daniel waited calmly, his breath turning into mist in the cold air. He said nothing. He only looked at her as though giving her space to think. The genie hated this silence. She had always been in control. She was the one with power. She was the one who decided how wishes were twisted. But now, this man's simple question had shaken her. Finally, she spoke. "You are a strange mortal," she said. "No one has ever asked me such a thing. Do you not fear wasting your chance?" Daniel shook his head. A wish spent on truth is never wasted. The genie tilted her head. His words unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. She stepped closer, her golden aura glowing against the snow. "You think yourself wise," she whispered, "but wisdom is dangerous. You now know who I am. You now know I was once human. Does this knowledge not frighten you?" Daniel's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. "It doesn't frighten me. It makes you real." Her chest tightened again. Real, she had not been called real in centuries. To mortals, she was always an idea, a fantasy, a tool to gain wealth or power. To hear herself spoken of as real was unsettling. The genie looked away, her expression hardening. She could not allow herself to be weak. "Do not mistake my truth for friendship," she warned coldly. "I am still bound by the law of wishes. I am still your servant, even if I despise the role." Daniel nodded slowly. "I don't want a servant. I just want honesty." His words struck her again, like an arrow she could not block. For a long moment, she said nothing. The snow fell softly between them. Inside her mind, memories stirred, memories she had locked away. A time when she had been human. A time when she had laughed, when she had dreamed. She remembered faces now lost, voices now dust. For thousands of years, she had told herself those memories no longer mattered. But now, this one human had opened the door she had sworn to keep shut. The genie clenched her fists. But why did this mortal affect her so deeply? Why did his calmness make her uneasy? She looked at him sharply. Be careful, Daniel. The truth you asked for is dangerous. You may find that knowing me will cost more than you expect. Daniel met her gaze without fear. I can handle it. Her lips pressed into a thin line. His confidence annoyed her, but also fascinated her. For centuries, she had despised humans. Yet now, for the first time, she felt something else. Curiosity. Could it be true? Could humans be more than greedy animals chasing after power? Could they be clever, brave, even compassionate? The genie turned away, staring at the stars. She did not want him to see the storm inside her. She whispered softly, almost to herself, perhaps the gods were wrong about mortals. Daniel tilted his head. What do you mean? The genie did not answer. She could not show him too much. She had already given away more than she should have. But inside, her dilemma grew stronger. For thousands of years, she had believed humans were weak, predictable, and selfish. Yet this one man had shattered that belief in a single wish. Her power was great, but his will unsettled her. She began to wonder if perhaps the real danger was not her magic, but his humanity. Finally, she turned back to him. Her eyes glowed brighter. She spoke with calm warning. Your next wish will test you, she said. Choose carefully. For now, I know you are not like others. I will not treat you like others. Speak with wisdom, Daniel, or your path will destroy you. Daniel only nodded. That's fine. I never expected this to be easy. The genie stared at him for a long time, her golden light reflecting in the snow. She felt torn between anger and admiration. He had forced her to reveal her deepest secret. He had unsettled her. And yet, she wanted to see what he would do next. Inside her, the chains of her curse felt heavier than ever. But for the first time in thousands of years, she felt something else pressing against those chains. Hope. The genie folded her arms, hiding her feelings. She would not let him see how much he had shaken her. She would wait. She would watch. And she would test him with his second wish. But deep in her heart, she already knew the truth. This human was not like the others, and that terrified her. More than anything, the fire of the stars burned bright above the mountains. Snow glittered like diamonds on the ground. Daniel stood silent, watching the genie as she drifted a few steps away. Her glowing form lighting the frozen valley. The genie kept her arms folded, but inside, her mind was restless. For thousands of years, she had told herself that humans were weak, greedy creatures. They always wasted their wishes, and she always gave them what they asked for, even if it ruined them in the end. That was the law. That was her curse. But this man, this mortal, was rewriting everything she thought she knew. Daniel had not begged. He had not screamed. He had not fallen to his knees, asking for gold or immortality. Instead, he had wanted truth. Truth about her. Truth about the story she had hidden from the world. The genie could not deny it. His wish had touched something inside her that she thought was long dead. She turned her face to the sky, hiding her unease. You think yourself clever, she said at last. But do you know what I have seen? Do you know what humans are capable of when given even the smallest amount of power? Daniel did not answer right away. He looked at her carefully, then said simply, Yes, I've seen what humans can do. I've seen both the good and the bad. But that doesn't mean all of us are the same. The genie's golden eyes flashed. You think you are different. You think you are special? Daniel's voice was calm. Not just me. Humanity. We are not perfect, but we are not predictable either. You have seen the worst of us, but you have not seen the best." The genie almost laughed, but the sound never left her lips. His words stung because, deep down, part of her wanted to believe them. But another part of her, the part shaped by centuries of betrayal, refused. She stepped closer, her aura glowing stronger. "I have seen kings burn their kingdoms for gold. I have seen men betray their families for a single taste of power. I have seen rulers fall into madness because of immortality. And you say there is more?" Daniel held her gaze. "Yes, there is always more." The genie studied his face. His eyes were steady, not desperate, not greedy. She hated that it made her doubts herself for the first time. She wondered if perhaps the gods who cursed her had been wrong. Memories of her human life pressed against her mind. She remembered laughter, kindness, dreams, things she had buried long ago. And now, this mortal's words dragged them back into the light. Her heart tightened. She wanted to crush the thought, but it clung to her like chains. Daniel took a slow step closer. "Tell me something," he said softly. "If you hate humans so much, why do you still serve them?" The genie's expression darkened. "Because I have no choice. I am bound to the lamp. I am cursed to grant wishes until the end of time." Daniel nodded. "Exactly. You were forced. You never chose. That means all the evil you've seen, it wasn't balanced. You only saw the worst. You never saw the other side." The genie's lips parted, but no words came out. She hated that he was right. The truth was simple. She had never seen the best of humanity. She had never been given the chance. Every man who found her had been greedy, selfish, hungry for more. But Daniel, T, was something else for the first time in thousands of years. The genie realized she did not understand humans at all. Her chest grew heavy with a feeling she had not known since her mortal days. Curiosity. Could it be true? Could humans hold something she had never seen? Something greater than greed? The snow crunched softly as Daniel walked closer. His voice was steady, his tone gentle. "You asked if I think I'm special," he said. "The truth is, every human has the power to be special. Not because of wishes, not because of magic, but because we can choose. We can imagine, we can hope. Even in darkness, we can dream of the light. That is our real strength." The genie stared at him, her glowing eyes wide. His words cut deeper than any blade. For centuries, she had believed she was above mortals, trapped in a role that placed her higher than them. But now she realized something terrifying. Perhaps humans did not need her power at all. Perhaps, in their own way, they were stronger than her. The genie turned away quickly, hiding the storm in her heart. She tried to sound calm, but her voice trembled. "Be careful, Daniel. Your words are dangerous. If the gods heard you, they would strike you down." Daniel smiled faintly. "Then let them try. I'm not afraid." The genie's breath caught. She had never met a mortal who spoke to her with such boldness. She had never seen such fearlessness in the face of power. For the first time, she felt small. Her chains grew heavier. Her curse burned. And yet, inside that pain, a new thought sparked hope. The genie whispered to herself, too quiet for Daniel to hear. "Perhaps humans are stronger than we knew." But deep down, she feared what this meant. If humans truly held this kind of power, then maybe she had been wrong all along, and that realization terrified her more than the curse itself. The night deepened. The stars above burned brighter, and the snow around Daniel and the genie shimmered like glass. The air was sharp and cold, but neither of them moved. They only stared at one another, caught in a strange silence that felt heavier than the mountains themselves. The genie's thoughts were tangled. Daniel had shaken her with his first wish. He had asked for the truth, and in doing so, he had forced her to reveal her pain, her history, her secret humanity. She hated him for it. She respected him for it. And most of all, she feared him for it. No one had ever made her feel this way. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. His voice was steady, low, but firm. "You said I have 3 wishes," he reminded her. "I've used the first. Now I will make my second." The genie narrowed her eyes. A small part of her wanted to stop him. A part of her wanted to delay, to test him longer. But the ancient law-bound Hershey could not refuse. "Speak," she said, her voice echoing in the still night. "What is your second desire?" Daniel hesitated for a moment. He looked up at the stars, then back at her. His eyes glowed with determination. "My second wish," he said slowly, "is that you show me the world as you see it." The genie froze. Her breath caught in her throat. She blinked in shock, her golden aura flickering. "What did you say?" She whispered. Daniel repeated calmly, "I wish to see through your eyes. To see the world the way you see it. Not as a man, but as you immortal, cursed, and powerful." The genie's hands trembled. This was not what she expected. Not at all. No one had ever asked for such a thing. Mortals only wanted to change the world for themselves. None had ever asked to share her vision. "You are reckless," she said, sharply, trying to hide her unease. "You do not know what you are asking for. My sight is not meant for mortals. What I see may destroy you." Daniel did not flinch. "Maybe, but I want to understand. That's my wish." The genie's light pulsed, flashing gold and white across the snow. She shook her head slowly. "Why do you do this? Why do you not ask for power, for eternal life, for riches that could make you king?" Daniel's answer was simple, "Because those things don't matter. If I don't understand the truth, then any treasure I gain will be empty. Show me your world. That's my second wish." The genie stared at him, silent for a long time. Inside her, conflict burned. She wanted to refuse, to tell him it was impossible. But she couldn't. His words bound her. His wish had weight, and the law of her curse left her no choice. She raised her hand slowly. Her eyes glowed brighter, the snow around them lifting into the air like sparks of fire. "Very well," she said at last, her voice trembling with both warning and awe. "Your second wish is granted." The world around Daniel exploded with light. At once, his vision changed. His eyes widened as the snowy mountains melted away, replaced by a vast sea of shifting colors. The stars stretched endlessly. But they were no longer just points of light. They were alive, burning, singing with voices older than time. He gasped, falling to his knees. The world was overwhelming. He saw threads of energy running through every stone, every flake of snow, every breath of air. He saw the chains of fate wrapped around the genie, glowing like molten fire. He saw countless shadows, memories of kings, rulers, thieves, each one who had touched the lamp before him. Daniel clutched his head. His mind felt like it was splitting apart. This is what you see," he whispered. The genie's voice echoed inside his head. "Yes, this is my world, the true world. A place where every life is tied to threads of destiny, where every choice burns into eternity. It is not a gift, Daniel, it is a burden. This is why I am cursed. This is why I am feared." Daniel staggered to his feet, his breath ragged. But he did not look away. He forced himself to stand, his eyes wide as he watched the endless storm of colors and threads. "It's beautiful," he said softly. The genie's lips parted in shock. Beautiful. No mortal had ever seen her vision without screaming in madness. Yet Daniel stood tall, trembling but unbroken. He turned toward her, his eyes reflecting the same golden glow as hers. Now I understand. You don't just grant wishes, you carry the weight of every soul you've ever touched. The genie froze. His words pierced her like arrows. No human had ever understood. No one had ever looked at her curse and seen not power, but suffering. Daniel's voice grew steadier. You've been living like this for centuries. No wonder you hate us. No wonder you feel alone. The genie looked away quickly, but her eyes burned with something she could not hide, tears of light. She whispered, almost too softly for him to hear, "You should not be able to endure this. And yet, you do." Daniel's jaw tightened. That's the hidden power of humans. We endure. We adapt. Even when the truth hurts, we keep moving. The genie stared at him in silence. For the first time in thousands of years, she felt her chains weaken, not in reality, but in her heart. This mortal was not like the others. He was teaching her something she had forgotten long ago. And now she feared what his final wish would bring. The night was quiet again. The strange golden vision faded from Daniel's eyes, and the snowy mountains returned. He gasped for air, his body trembling, but his gaze was steady. He had seen the world as the genie saw it. He had endured what should have broken him. The genie floated before him, silent, her golden aura dimmer than before. She had expected him to collapse, to scream, to lose his mind. Yet Daniel stood tall, his breath heavy, but his spirit unshaken. She had no words. For centuries, she had believed no human could endure the weight of her sight. But this man had not only endured it, he had understood it. He had looked into her curse, into her endless burden, and called it beautiful. Her chest tightened. She hated that word. She hated that he had used it for something she despised. But deep down, she also longed to believe it. Daniel straightened his shoulders. His voice was calm but firm. You gave me truth. You showed me your world. Now it's time for my last wish. The genie's eyes glowed faintly. Fear stirred in her heart. She had seen countless final wish, selfish, always destructive. The third wish was always the most dangerous. She folded her arms, masking her unease. Very well. Speak your final desire, mortal. But choose carefully. Once spoken, it cannot be undone. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were steady, and his face calm. My final wish, he said softly, is that you be free. The genie froze. The wind seemed to stop. The stars above burned brighter, as if even the heavens leaned closer to hear. What did you say? She whispered. The storm had passed. The snow settled gently around them, the night calm once more. The broken lamp was gone. Nothing but dust carried away by the wind. For the first time in centuries, the genie knew. The woman stood without chains. Her golden glow had faded into something softer, more human. Her skin no longer shimmered like fire, but her eyes still carried that depth, that light of ages. She touched her chest again, feeling the rhythm of her heart, steady and real. The sound almost frightened her. It had been so long. Daniel watched, quietly giving her space. He did not smile, he did not speak. He only stood near, waiting. Finally, she raised her eyes to his. I don't know how to live free, she admitted softly. Her voice trembled, honest and fragile. For thousands of years, I have only known servitude, wishes, chains. Now I am free. But what am I supposed to do? Daniel's answer was simple. Live, learn, make choices. That's what being human is about. We don't always know what to do, but we try. We stumble, we fall, we get back up. That's what makes us strong." His words struck her deeper than any spell. For centuries, she had mocked humans for their weakness. But now she understood weakness was not failure. It was the struggle, the constant fight to rise again, that gave humanity its hidden strength. She looked at him with wide eyes, her lips trembling. "I thought humans were selfish. I thought they were greedy. But you gave up everything for me." Daniel shook his head. "I didn't give up anything. Power and riches are meaningless. But helping someone, giving them freedom, that matters." Her chest ached. She lowered her gaze, and for the first time in centuries, she whispered words. She thought she had forgotten. "Thank you." Silence followed, but it was a peaceful silence now, not heavy or dark. The wind moved softly, carrying the star's light across the snowy peaks. Daniel looked out at the mountains. "You asked what you should do now. Maybe the answer is simple. Be yourself. You're no longer a prisoner. That means you can decide who you want to be." The woman, once a genie, once cursed, closed her eyes. She let the cold air sting her skin, let the snowflakes melt against her cheeks. They felt real. For the first time, the world was no longer a prison, but a place of possibility. She opened her eyes again. "And what about you? What will you do now that your wishes are gone?" Daniel gave a faint smile. "Keep moving. I never needed wishes. To live, humans survive by will, not magic." Her lips curved into a small smile, but sadness lingered in her eyes. "Perhaps you are right. Perhaps humans are stronger than even the gods believed." They stood there together, silent for a time. The stars shone above, endless and eternal, while they remained small beneath them, but not powerless. Finally, she turned to him. "There is something you should know. Your third wish did not only free me, it changed me. I am no longer bound to the lamp. But neither am I truly human. I carry fragments of power still. My freedom is new, fragile. I do not know where it will lead." Daniel nodded. "Then you'll discover it, step by step. That's how humans do it." Her heart warmed. His words were simple, yet they carried more wisdom than centuries of rulers she had served. She realized something then. He was not just a mortal, he was a reminder of what she had once been and what she could be again. She took a deep breath, then spoke firmly. "Daniel, you have changed me more than I can explain. If the gods watch us now, they will see their curse broken, and they will not be pleased." Daniel's smile faded slightly. "Then let them be angry. I don't care." Her eyes widened. He spoke with such defiance, such fearlessness. In that moment, she understood the true meaning of humans are special. Not because they were powerful, not because they were immortal, but because they refused to bow, even to gods. The mountains echoed with silence again, but now it felt different. It felt like the beginning of something new. The woman stepped closer, her hand brushing lightly against his arm. "Perhaps our paths are not over. Perhaps freedom does not mean I must walk alone." Daniel looked at her, his expression calm but steady. "Perhaps not. But whether together or apart, you are free now. That's what matters." Her smile was small, but true. "Then I will learn. I will live. And maybe, just maybe, I will remember what it means to be human." The two of them stood side by side beneath the endless stars. The lamp was gone. The chains were broken. The curse was shattered. What remained was something new, fragile, uncertain but full of hope. And as the night stretched on, the mountains seemed to whisper a truth older than gods, that even the most powerful beings can be changed. Not by magic, not by force, but by the simple heart of a human who chooses compassion over greed. That was humanity's hidden power. That was what made them special. Daniel glanced at her once more. "So tell me," he asked quietly, "what will be your first choice as a free soul?" She looked at the stars, her eyes soft, her heart racing, and for the first time in thousands of years, she whispered, "To begin." The mountains fell silent. The stars burned bright, and a new story, hers and his, had only just begun.